Bandwidth for VT Talk is provided by vaporworld.co.uk.
Well, wouldn't you know it, it's Wednesday night once again, and we are here for VT Talk, the programme in which we take a look at topical stuff, the stuff that's in the news, and talk about it and inform you about it and do calls to action and things like that, preferably in English. If I fall into Spanish, not my fault, still haven't got over my holidays. But tonight I'm bereft of a Daz. Poor lad's been working his fingers to the elbow, and he has, and he's been so busy that he Skyped us to tell us he was still on shift. I don't know what it is he does, but whatever it is must be nice, otherwise why would you be working at this time of night? Who can say? However, we do have, in addition to the ever lovely and gorgeous Sav over there on the far right hand side of the screen, he said, remembering which way around it should look, aside, beside her, between the two VT TV people, we have a man who was last on VT Talk in May of last year, over a year ago. Apparently he's only aged a year since then, because he tells me last time he was on he was 21, now he's 22. I don't believe it. I think he's got a painting in the attic. But we've got Ben Potter from UK ECW and UK E-liquid. What did I call it? ECWOOK. And this is it. This is your team for tonight with Sav. With Kat. You see, I've been away. Can we start again?
I was going to say, do you want to start that again, Dave?
I'll try again. Yes. Cut. Yes. Where was I? With Kat in the chat room, gathering together the comments to pass them on to Sav for the reading out thereof. That's your full team of 4 tonight, and it's going to be a good show, I'm sure it is, because tonight we're going to be talking about that woman again. You know the one I mean. But that will be after the titles. Shall we? Let's. Now, I've switched to this particular view because for the moment we've lost one of the protagonists. Apparently somebody's knocking at her door. Who knew? Who knew? I didn't. With a little bit of luck and a following wind, it might even be vape mail. You never just know your luck. But while she's gone, I'm going to sit and talk to Ben. Ben, bonny lad, a year
Hello.
and a bit since you've been on, and when first you were on it was UK E-liquid, that was it. But since then you've joined forces with ECW, haven't you?
Yeah, that's right. Yes, I distinctly remember you trying to fish some information out of me because you thought something was up and I wouldn't let it go, but that was the thing I was hiding from you.
Oh, you played it very, very close to your chest. I well remember that you did, and I knew there was something going on, and then the announcement came about. So how's it working out? I mean, I know you've gone to new premises, and I do intend to come down and have a look around the place, but how's all that working for you?
Yes, working good. The extra space is definitely helping on all accounts. We've grown a lot since we last spoke. We've got 12 staff now, and we've got another 4 coming along before the end of the year. So things are just up really.
Brilliant stuff. And so have you got any new exciting stuff? I'm going fishing. I'm going to go fishing. I'm going to get some information out of you one way or another. Have you got anything new and exciting to tell us about?
There is another brand that we're starting. There's no set release date just yet. It'll be winter time, but it's called Vape Garden, and basically that will be a subscription based service. So you're subscribed to either 1, 2 or 3 bottles of e-liquid a month, and that will be delivered to you much like Grey's boxes. I don't know if you've ever had that. So it will come in a nice packaged box, and the idea behind it is every flavour that gets sent out each and every month will be brand new, never been on our website, and it should never have been on anyone else's website because we'll be getting them made specifically from us, for us. and a flavour house company. So if you like trying different juices, then that kind of website will be for you.
So is that going to work on the same basis as the Graze boxes do? Because I have a Graze subscription, and you kind of get to tick the ones you like, the ones you don't like, the ones that you really, really don't like, and the ones that you absolutely love.
No, not at the moment. At the moment, it's going to be purely, you'll kind of get what you're given, and the idea is that it's, you know, for people that like to be a bit adventurous and not too picky with their flavours, and they get what they're given and they try it if they like it. 3 or 4 months down the line, that particular flavour will be put on sale on the websites. But the idea is that you're the first person to get this flavour. No one else has tried it, and it's kind of like a secret network of people that are getting these flavours to try.
Ooh, that sounds quite intriguing and interesting and stuff like that. Quite like that idea. Yeah, can you? I mean, I've got to say, you know me. You know the question I'm going to ask. Is there a little ticky box that says no menthol ever?
No, but if your name's David Dorm, you are by default sent 3 bottles of menthol liquid.
I love you too, Ben. I love you too. And I see that our other protagonist is back there. I'll put them side by side. Welcome back, Sav.
I must apologise. Thank you. I must apologise for that.
It's all right. We call it a hangout. We just do what we do, don't you? Wander about the place and enjoy yourself.
This is true. Yes.
As long as you don't go shopping throughout the show, I really don't mind.
No, I'm good. I'll try not to spend any money.
That's okay. I was just going to say, if you are going internet shopping, if you could just pick me up a MacBook Pro with Retina display, please.
Not
fully
a problem,
loaded.
Dave.
I've got no money, but I'll see you. Well, if I don't see you right, I'll see you through the window.
Yes, I'll sort that for you. No problem. Of course.
That's what I like to hear. It's nice to have friends.
Isn't
Shall we stumble on with some of the news that's been going on, do you think?
Before you do, I've just got a couple of comments that came in from chat about what you were just talking about. And
Okay.
Moonlit has said, does the flavour of the month come with a free carto per flavour?
A 3 what?
It doesn't come. It won't come with a free carto, but that's something that I can put on the list of potential extras that we could introduce in a later date. So that's actually quite a good idea. I like that. I'll write that down.
Next one, Vaporman says, will there be blue cheese flavour in the mix?
I
really hope
don't know
not.
if that one will go down too well, but you never know. You never know. Maybe for April Fools.
This is the power of the VTTV chat room. Blue,
Yeah.
blue. That was that what Dougie was trying out at Vape Fest? Blue cheese.
Yes.
There's something just vaguely not right about that.
It's more than vaguely not right. I'll move on from blue cheese, I think.
Yeah, it's probably a good idea. Anything more from chat before we get into the?
Yes, Marky Moss says, that's a great idea. I need to get someone in the States to do that. And a question from Dougie who says, Ben, do I remember correctly that you were going to be setting up your own in-house mixing? If so, how's that coming along?
Yeah, I did actually mention that last time I was on. I remember that. Yes, we are. The clean room is finally finished being built, and we're waiting for some other bits and bobs. But yes, we will be making our own e-liquid, so our own range of flavours, etc.
Well, actually, it's probably apposite that you've mentioned that, given that woman about whom we shall be speaking later. But while I've got you here, and thank you so much for coming on at what is really short notice, can you run everybody through the idea of a clean room and what steps you put in place to ensure that the e-liquid that's going to come out is as it should be? Is that...
Yeah,
Can you do that?
no worries. So we've built a purpose clean room. So the idea is that you're trying to separate a dirty area from a clean area. So we have a first entrance hall where you take off all your personal coats, jackets, etc. Leave all your personal belongings in there. You'd put a lab coat on, a hairnet. If they were doing large quantity mixing, they'd put eye protection on. We have feet covers that they'll put on. You'd wash your hands in that room, and then they enter into the second room. In that room, they then wash their hands again, put on gloves. The whole area is fully cleaned before and after the end of day and start of day. And the flooring needs to go 50 mils up the floor, etc. So it's built above food grade standards, but it's not lab standards, because lab standards are too much, to be honest. They're more for things that you're going to be injecting into your body and stuff like that. But it's above food grade board, but we don't have 20 grand extractors and stuff like that, because it's just not necessary. But we do take every measure to make sure that there's no dust or dirt inside of the room.
Yeah, because I was hearing a few days ago about apparently somebody's mixing in the ensuite bathroom of their house, and you've got to be worried in a situation like that somebody's going to find something short and curly under the label, or even worse, under the cap. And I assume that all of these precautions that you're taking are there to prevent any contamination of any description or anything like that going on, all that kind of thing. And if I remember correctly, weren't you going to be doing your own GCMS testing as well?
Yeah, we already do it through ACETA, but the idea is we're producing it in such large quantities now that the main aim, basically, to backstep a little bit, is on our website we want a page set up so you can actually type in the batch number that's on the label, and that will bring up that relevant GCMS result for that liquid. So if you were to order a bottle of menthol from us, you could type in the batch code onto our website, and it would bring up the relevant GCMS for that particular batch of liquid that you've bought, and that'll be across the board for all of the liquids that we make. So you're completely and utterly rest assured that what you've got has not got anything that it shouldn't have in it, and that's the main aim and the main goal.
That sounds brilliant, and it leads us into the piece on that woman, and I use that phrase because honestly, quite nicely, because I think, as we're all aware, Ellen Hahn, Dr. Ellen Hahn, I believe she is, in the States, has been quite active in decrying e-cigarettes and actively campaigning to have a vape meet stopped at a hotel in the States. Well, what a lot of people might not know, or you might, but if you didn't, you will, CASAR, which is the Consumer Advocates for Smoke-Free Alternatives Association, which is quite a mouthful, even on Diet Coke, it says here, has begun a new initiative to expose false and otherwise misleading information that is distributed by opponents of tobacco harm reduction, THR, which apparently is what e-cigs are now called, over there at any rate. As part of that initiative, CASAR recently filed a formal complaint with the President of the University of Kentucky and with the Kentucky State Attorney General, asking for an investigation into UKY faculty member Ellen J. Hahn's dissemination of disinformation, including a recent attempt to trick a hotel into breaking a legal contract for hosting a THR gathering. Now, THR is the public health strategy of encouraging smokers to switch to low-risk alternatives like smokeless tobacco and electronic cigarettes, e-cigarettes or e-cigs. It is the only strategy that has proven able to reduce smoking rates below about 1/5 of the population once smoking has become popular, and appears to be responsible for most of the reduction in smoking in the US for the last decade. Despite this, there is a small but vocal and lavishly funded group of extremist activists who oppose THR and whose strategy focuses on lying about it. Now, before we go any further into that press release, we know that that's true. I mean, what kind of effect has that had on UKE and ECW, Ben? Has it impacted on you anywhere with the kind of the disinformation that comes out?
It's hard to gauge, because the users that people that are already using the product will know that that's mostly false information, if not all false information. So it doesn't really affect current sales. But funny enough, a good example of how it does affect things is Ollie, one of the other directors, mum actually texted him saying, I've just heard from someone she works from that e-cigs are being banned and causing lung cancer and stuff like that. So it does make people believe what's written down, because you're not going to look at a newspaper article and necessarily think it's lying, not when it's got what appears to be factual information on there. So for users that people that aren't using them, it probably does have an effect, but I wouldn't be able to say whether it has an effect on us, because again, it's the existing users already know that it's a load of tosh. So
yeah, it's a queer thing. Let's just go back a bit to the press release, and then I want to point everybody at where the whole of the letter that was sent. In fact, let's go to that one, and go straight to the letter that was sent in. And this is at, well, you can see at the top there, kazaa.org hanukYletter.html. The UKY is in uppercase, as is the H. So it's kazaa.org hanukYletter.html, and it really is worth going to have a read of this. And just to go through the summary that they've put. Han is employed in a research faculty type position at the College of Nursing at the university. She has a history of using her position at the university to engage in political activism that is outside of and often contrary to her job description, and to publicly make scientific claims that are both false and beyond her area of professional expertise. Most recently, she attempted to incite a private party, a local conference hotel, into a breach of contract for illegal commercial activity, a meeting of vapers, aficionados of electronic cigarettes, for the purpose of preventing the free assembly of those to whom she is politically opposed. In so doing, she A. explicitly represented herself as speaking for the university and implied that she spoke for the state government, and B. offered inaccurate and threatening legal advice, and C. made false and otherwise misleading scientific claims. Now, this is a brilliant read, and as you can see from me scrolling this up, it goes on and on and on. It's 26 pages in total. You couldn't really debunk all of this in anything less. But when we get down to the bottom of it, there's some points here that we probably want to have a look at. I really would suggest that everybody goes to read it. But here's the letter, which is not particularly well reproduced, I have to say, but it does say, I'm writing on behalf of the Kentucky Centre for Smoke-Free Policy at the University of Kentucky College of Nursing. That's the first thing. She's writing on behalf, so she's saying this is official from there. We have recently learned of a vape meet to be held at your facility on August 4th to promote electronic cigarettes. We spoke to someone at your hotel who said that the common areas of the hotel are smoke-free. Since e-cigarettes are tobacco products that emit harmful substances in the vapour, I am enclosing information on this largely untested product. For the safety of your workers and guests, I ask that you not allow e-cigarette use inside your facility consistent with your smoke-free policy. And it goes on. I mean, it is a farrago of disinformation. And I probably should clarify the difference between misinformation and disinformation for people that don't know. Misinformation is when you repeat information that you've been told in error, if you like, because you don't understand. It's not malicious, it's just you passing on, like, I don't know, like a 4-year-old saying, Mum, do you know 2 and 2 is 5? Because Peter in the playground told us. That's misinformation. But coming in at the age of 18 and saying, I never slept with a mum, I'm not pregnant, it's not to do with me, I wasn't there, you can't prove it, nobody saw. That's disinformation, because it's outright lies. She knows it's not true. And that's disinformation is what this woman, that's what she's doing. So I mean, I'm really pleased to see that Kazaa is actually taking this on and is taking it to the right places. And they go through a whole load of stuff here debunking it, which is really nice. I'm going to read one or two of these out, Ben, and I'd love your comments. But before we go there, have we got anything in from the chat room, Sav?
Yes, the chat have been quite vocal on this.
There's a chat, right.
Moonlit has said, what right does she have to try and ban a meetup of people doing a legal and voluntary thing? Zero. Sod her.
Polite.
Dougie has said, does she not also have some affiliation with farmer groups? Not farmers, but bueno.
Pharmaceutical, yes.
That's them, yes. Steve Mack has said, the populace unfortunately believe this stuff, like low-fat diets that actually cause obesity. Sam Monroe says, unfortunately BS spreads faster and wider than facts. Very Boring has said, the university should be getting shot of her and the state government should be arresting her. And Dougie has also said, her interview on TV was an absolute pack of lies. I'm just glad the station got the event organisers on after her.
That's all brilliant comment. Ben, you got anything to add?
Well, she's said it all herself, really, hasn't she? She's ruined all of her credibility if she had any in the first place. So I think anything else that she comes out with will just be laughed off.
Well, absolutely. I think what we'll do is we'll take a quick break, because when we come back, this Kazaa letter has some beautiful debunking of some of her claims, and yeah, I'm starting to think that, you know, if everybody goes to read this, the world would be a better place. But we'll be right back in a couple of minutes. We'll just take a short break. When we come back, we'll go a little bit further into this. Then we've got a whole load of other stuff to look at as well. Controversy left, right and centre. It's been a controversial time. I don't know. You go away on holiday and when you come back, the world's gone mad. Back in 2 ticks.
Vaporworld.co.uk sponsors conversation on VT Talk.
Do you want your cash to scratch a little bit further? Do you want a safer SIG? Then you need Safer SIGs, a proud sponsor of VaporTrails.tv. Go to www.safersigs.co.uk, stretchy man not included.
The GG, because you want one.
iVapor and iVapor Elixir, based in Yorkshire, for your e-cig needs. That's iVapor.co.uk and iVapor-elixir.co.uk. iVapor and iVapor-elixir.co.uk, proud sponsors of VaporTrails.tv.
And now back to conversation on VT Talk, sponsored by Vaporworld.co.uk.
And welcome back to VT Talk. I'm David Dawn. We've got Ben Potter and Sav with us and Kat in the chat room, pulling all the bits and bobs together. And I'm trying to remember to look at the camera. Lord, I tell you what, you take a month off and it all goes crackers. Shall we have a look at some of these claims, Ben, and see just how far out of court this woman is? Honestly, there was a phrase just went through my head, and then I realised we're being watched by millions of people worldwide, and we like not to swear on here.
Of course, yeah.
It rhymed with witch. Here we go. Hans claim: e-cigarettes emit harmful substances in the vapour. The truth: the The natural language interpretation of Hahn's statement, which she presents in the context of her warning about risks to bystanders, is that the exposure from being near someone using an e-cigarette is believed, based on evidence, to be harmful. This is false. Existing evidence suggests that there is no environmental hazard. It would be true, though of no practical consequence, to claim the vapour contains substances that are known to be harmful in sufficient concentrations, but even that would be clearly misleading unless the clarification was added, but the concentrations found in the vapour are orders of magnitude less than the harmful levels. This is probably the most significant in the sense of the importance of the claim of Hahn's claims that are false but could be defended as technically true based on a tortured interpretation of the statement. The examples below provide much clearer examples of how she's intentionally using this tactic. And I'm not going to go through and read them all because honestly we would be here all night, and I think probably most of the people that are in the chat room at the moment would agree with me when I use the phrase hanging's too good for her.
Oh, I can confirm that chat would definitely agree with that, judging by what they're planning in there at the moment.
Would you care to share?
I won't mention any names, but let's just say that I'm slightly worried about a few of our members in chat.
Oh, really?
They know too much about things that are quite worrying at times.
I might take it that they're being quite inventive in the manner in which they would put it to her.
Yeah, they're being quite inventive, definitely.
I'm taking it by the hums that you're reading chat as well, are you?
Yeah.
Ah, right. I'm
It's
not.
an next Saw movie.
I see. So our chat room is wholly on side with the idea that that woman needs to be sorted.
I think so, yeah.
I would say so, yeah.
Good. I'm pleased to hear it. I would exhort everybody then, wherever you see this being discussed, pile in. Let's see if we can get some action taken on this. I mean, we just need somebody like this over here, and it would blow the lid off things, wouldn't it? I mean, it would cause havoc. It's unfortunate that the majority of these activists appear to be based in the US. Unfortunate for the US, unfortunate for us, but yeah, it's worrying that these folks are allowed to get away with it because they've got PhDs and doctor this and consultant that and what have you. But there's more of that going on, of course. Let's move. I'm going to jump past one of the ones I wanted to look at tonight, and then look at this. Electronic cigarettes could damage your lungs as they cause less oxygen to be absorbed by the blood. Followed by around 650,000 smokers are thought to be using the inhalers to help them kick the habit. This is what appeared on, there you have it, just so everybody knows. Daily Mail, it's the Daily Mail, is where it's been at. And this has had my blood boiling as well, but let me read it out to you if you haven't already seen it. They are touted as a safe alternative to smoking, but electronic cigarettes could damage the lungs, latest research has found. The devices were found to cause an immediate rise in airway resistance in the lungs, meaning less oxygen is absorbed by the blood. That's actually factually incorrect, but never mind. On average, the effect lasted for 10 minutes, a report presented at the European Respiratory Society's annual congress in Vienna found. Electronic cigarettes deliver nicotine through a vapour rather than smoke, and there has been much debate over their safety. Around 650,000 smokers are thought to be using the inhalers, which look like cigarettes or pens, to help them kick the habit. I'm coming away from that, and I'm going to go straight to you, Ben. How many e-cigs that look like that one in that picture have you got on your books?
None.
There you go. And am I correct in thinking that you would say that you're one of the biggest retailers in the UK?
One of, yes.
There you
Not
go.
the-
I did phrase it that way to be right. I mean, turnover in the billions, 3 helicopters, flat in St. Moritz. Well, ish.
I don't think I'd be in this country if it was in the billions, Dave.
No, no, probably not. Anyway, let's carry on.
Can I just interject quickly on a comment that came straight in from the chat?
Yes.
Which was Moonlit, who said, "Newsflash, inhaling stuff that isn't oxygen reduces oxygen intake, albeit briefly. Who knew?"
Well, absolutely, yes. But I've got more information on this. This is good, this. I will not read through the rest of it because I think everybody... I mean, why do they keep on using pictures of lucky likeys? For God's sake. But never mind. There's a whole load of blurb on there. If you haven't seen it, it's quite active at the moment. There are 99 comments. A couple of mine are in there. One or two people I think might have picked up that it's slightly wrong, thinking that it's go to there, that it's the UK government trying to boost tax. It isn't. What it is, and I'll come away from there. What it is this European respiratory outfit. What's it called? Oh, come on, David. There you go. European Respiratory Society's annual congress. They are out and out WHO fanboys. They have got an ideological objection to anything that looks like a cigarette or they think might have the same effect as a cigarette. If you go to their homepage, and I exhort you to look it up, and I'll put links into our forum later on. If you go to their homepage and have a look, they are repeating a whole load of the lies that Ellen Hahn is repeating. And they're repeating the lies because proper evidence would tell them they're wrong. But they've got an ideological objection to anything that looks as though people might be enjoying themselves with, in my view. Now, 650,000 e-smokers, vapors, syntholators, call them what the hell you like. In the 650,000 folks that are using e-cigs, basically, is what we're saying, in the UK. And in another piece in the paper today, it was saying that it's likely to be up to 1 million by the end of the year, which is good news, brilliant news. But what they're not telling you in that piece, which is, I have to say, badly researched and not even well kind of transcribed from the press release that I read, what they're not telling you is there's been shed loads of research done into propylene glycol being inhaled. As I know to my cost, because of the number of risk assessments I've had to fill in when we've been using propylene glycol based haze machines and what were called smoke machines in the entertainment industry. And I've been in some fairly enclosed spaces where, trust me, the output from a GG on full afterburner with a kick up its backside and God knows what else going on would be as nothing compared to the density of stuff that we've put out. You would not be able to see through it. And it has been recognised as safe to do for decades. You got a take on it, Ben?
I think you covered everything really. You know, with the smoke machines, that's pretty factual, and the fact that it's widely available on the internet, that it's safe to use, you can't really argue against that. It's just people, like you said, badly researching it and finding out that propylene glycol is a chemical put into products that are potentially dangerous, and seeing that as being that chemical, if that makes sense.
Oh, I mean, it's very much the case that the likes of Ellen Hahn and some of these journalists that apparently are too lazy to research their pieces properly would say propylene glycol is a constituent in antifreeze. So is water. So, believe it or not, is blue food colouring. It's food grade colouring that's used in that and that kind of stuff. Again, disinformation from people who are ideologically opposed to people enjoying themselves. And I can see by your face, Sav, there's more comments flooding in.
There are lots of comments. Ollie has said this article really made his blood boil. It was very lazy journalism. Gary has said had his blood boiling as well. He has asthma and his breathing is improved. Dougie has said open your front door and you're doing more damage by just breathing than you do vaping. Very Boring said NHS Choices website did a review article on the study, basically saying the report given was not detailed enough for any conclusions and that they are thinking it is a precursor of a full study. And my personal favourite comment came from Moonlit, who says, if it looks like a duck and acts like a duck, evidently it's a cancer-causing, evil, nasty, poisonous duck, even if it's not.
Oh, beautifully put. Kudos to that man. Beautifully put. I really do like that. The thing is, though, while we've got the Daily Mail covering that story in that way, then we go to another one that they've also covered in a slightly different way, and let's go to that. E-cigarettes don't harm heart, study shows. It's like they kick you down with one hand and then bolster you up with another one. This was of August 28th, so it's very recent. Electronic cigarettes do not appear to be bad for your heart, according to the first study to look at the effects of smoking e-cigarettes on heart function. The devices, battery-powered metal cartridges that simulate the effect of smoking by heating nicotine-containing liquid into vapour, can be helpful to smokers trying to kick the habit, says researcher Konstantinos Farsalinos, MD of the Onassis Cardiac Surgery Centre in Athens. And again, that kind of goes on quite a while. Smallish study, but ending up with preliminary studies show this two-pronged attack helps people to quit. Now, I think most people that know me know that I have an issue with the quit word, because I think people misunderstand the notion of tobacco harm reduction. But before I go into a rant, which I can feel coming, Ben, let me ask you, Ben, as a vendor, what do you understand by the word quit in the context of how your business works?
It's a hard one for us because although we never ever advertise it as quitting, you get faced with the same question over and over and over again. I want to quit smoking, or for example, people on our Facebook say, I've been using this for 3 weeks now and I haven't touched a cigarette, I've finally quit, etc. And as a company, you can't keep slating people for saying you can't say that or deleting their comments, etc. So you kind of have to just roll with it. From my point of view, it's always been, I haven't even thought about it really, to be honest. I've just carried on using them, and I probably always will carry on using them. But from a company's point of view, you kind of just have to accept each person's perception on what they think that they've done when they've moved over to e-cigs.
Yeah, I mean, I was looking further through that Kazaa document, because one of the things that struck me, and I've been quite voluble about it privately rather than on any of the shows, is that it would appear that in the States at least, they're using quit to mean I no longer smoke real tobacco, rather than I have quit smoking, which according to the World Health Organization means that you are no longer a nicotine addict. And it's kind of how you square that circle a little bit. Yeah. And I've taken the view personally that if you're quitting, you're packing in nicotine, and that's not something I ever want to do, and it's not something that anybody else ever wants me to do either. Otherwise you're going to have a very angry Dave appearing on your screens 2 or 3 nights a week. One of those, bear with a sore head. I see these as continuing my habit, as I've said so many times before, and I don't ever consider that I've quit in my terms of quitting. But I think if we can get people to understand that there's a THR, tobacco harm reduction version of quitting, which means you no longer smoke tobacco but you use an e-cig, then I can kind of go along with that. And I think it's going to be a case of persuading the powers that be, should it come to it, that that's what we mean. But I don't know, the quit word, it still doesn't sit awfully well with me on that one. However, it is very heartening to see that this is not damaging my heart in any way, shape or form. I take great issue with the lung function one, because that just seems idiotic to me. But I take a great deal of comfort from this the kind of thing that it's not damaging your heart in any way. That's all good news. And again, I can see that we've got more coming in from chat. I think it's going to be a busy night for you tonight, Sav.
It seems to be, and I've just got a very interesting bit of information that's just come through off Kat actually, and she says a university lecturer informed her today that research content has to be submitted by the 1st of October each year in order to obtain grants for the following year. So expect a deluge of unsubstantiated reports in September and none in October and November. So we could be in for quite a few of these articles.
My God, isn't that interesting? I didn't realise that they had to be in by October for funding, or for universities at any rate. But it makes sense when you think about it, because they're going back like now, aren't they?
Yep.
Having had 3 months holiday, the great unwashed.
It's probably worth me saying, Dave, to it might lower the blood levels of some of the people in chat. A CETA gets a bit of stick now and then, that it doesn't really do much, and it's kind of under the radar all the time. But there is a lot that goes on behind the scenes, and we just received I think it was a 20-page article from a CETA yesterday. Basically, any of these articles that are popping up from here on out, they'll be getting a copy of that article sent to them, and it basically outlines the yays and nays. So basically, what you said here is a liar, what you said here is a liar, or this is truthful, these are the facts. So that information is going out, and it's kind of worded in a way that it's, you're lying. Basically, we'd like you to post another article to correct the errors that you've put on there. So that'll be going out to people that have made these articles, and hopefully that has some kind of effect. Whether it does or not is to be seen, but it's a plus side that might make people a bit less angry today.
It's nice to hear that, and I've got to say as well, I mean, I'm constantly looking at all of this, and I need to extend my gratitude to everybody that hunts this stuff out before I found it and posts it on forums, because I'm not above saying I'm following those links and reading stuff up, but anytime we come across junk science and idiocy, trust me, we're going to be bringing it up on here. Get everybody that you know to watch these programs, whether it's live, whether it's podcast, whether it's video on demand. Really have a look at it, because where we can debunk it, we will debunk the false and junk science. Absolutely, certainly we will. And I'm just noticing where the time is. We need to take the second break, and when we come back, you mentioned Facebook earlier, we'll be talking a little bit about what Facebook's been doing as well, I think, amongst many other things. There's so much been happening while I've been away, so much to cover, and Ben's such a nice lad to talk to. We'll be back in a couple of minutes. Don't go anywhere.
Vaporworld.co.uk sponsors conversation on VT Talk. And now back to conversation on VT Talk, sponsored by Vaporworld.co.uk.
And we're back in the room. David Dawn here in the chair with Ben Potter from UK E-liquid and ECW, and Sav, who's reading out all the questions from chat. And chat are very, very active tonight. This is brilliant to see. Cat must be typing away at 1,000,000 miles an hour trying to get through everything that's going on. Let me just, before we blast on with all of the Facebook stuff, just to let you know what's going to be happening with VT Talk. We're going to alternate, or I'm going to try to alternate, so that in a fortnight's time, what Ben's sitting in at the minute is what I'm calling Vendor's Corner, because we want to get the vendors' views on what's happening in the news and how it's going to affect them, how it's going to affect the industry, how it's going to affect the business. So Ben's sitting in Vendor's Corner for the first time tonight. Funnily enough, was the first vendor that we had on VT Talk ever. So it's kind of squaring the circle a little bit. What goes round comes round and stuffs like that. And we'll be featuring the vendors every couple of weeks, and every so often I want to try and get ECCA involved as well. And then other times it'll be team members and it'll be guests from Lord knows where else. If you are up for coming on to VT Talk and sitting in that little square box that Ben's in there now, that one there, if you're up for that, let us know. If you've got a voice and you want to use it, we'd be happy to have you. It's all about us, the consumers, the customers, and the industry at large. So if you're up for that, let me know. Skype you in, we'll have great fun with it. Just a reminder as well that we're available on podcast, links to which are everywhere. You can get us on iTunes, you can get us on video on demand at www.vaportrails.tv with a U in, if you spell it funny where you live. All kinds of ways to view, and we love having you along live as well. We go out usually at 9 o'clock on a Wednesday night UK time, which is a completely different time everywhere else in the world. I still don't understand that. I don't know why we don't all go to bed at the same time and get up at the same time. It would make a lot more sense, but I'm old and cantankerous. But yes, let's blast on to this next one, because this is, again, it's a blood boiling night tonight. You might need ice cubes after this one. But Facebook are banning electronic cigarette fan pages, it says here. As the popularity of electronic cigarettes continues to boom, so does the controversy surrounding them. E-Cig Cabin's Tyler Bullock reports that a number of electronic cigarette fan pages have recently reported that Facebook removed their entire fan page without a warning and with very little explanation. One of the largest of these was The Smoker's Angel, which at the point of deletion, that sounds awful, but at the point of deletion had almost 14,000 fans. And they were taken down. That is shocking, and I'm going to go straight to Ben and say, Ben, what do you make of that?
Unfortunately, it's inevitable, and there's nothing that you can really do about it. Facebook's terms and conditions are basically set from the American law. So obviously in America, electronic cigarettes have been classed as tobacco products, and in Facebook's terms and conditions, you cannot advertise tobacco products, alcohol, and they've also put vaporizers under in that category as well. So it's an American law, but it's in their terms and conditions, so it's carried over to every country that Facebook operates in. But as far as we're aware, it's only for Facebook pages that have been advertising on there, so paying for likes and paying for adverts on Facebook. All the others seem to have either slipped under the radar, or they're not too bothered as long as you're not advertising to the masses.
It's interesting that, because we haven't been touched yet with the two pages that we've got on there, but I dropped onto Facebook yesterday and I got an e-cig advert served to me, and you know, on the right hand side of the page, and there was an e-cig advert served to me, but I'm quite explicit in my about me stuff that I'm into e-cigs and so on and so forth. So it looks as though they're operating double standards here. They're closing down certain of the e-cig, obviously the very popular ones, but the ones that are paying the money for the adverts, they don't appear to be stopping those. That just doesn't seem right to me somehow.
They're the ones that have been stopped. I know Rock was doing adverts and they got their page down, and Smoker's Angel was also paying for some of their ads. Obviously don't know exactly what they were paying for, but as far as I'm aware, they were paying and they got theirs taken down as well. So at the moment, it looks like it was targeted at people that were paying. It's a big website. Maybe they've only just come under the radar. Maybe they're not. They might not be actively looking for e-cig companies. It might have just been a case of they were unlucky and their numbers came up on the dice or something like that.
It is an interesting one, and I'm just looking on my Facebook page now to see whether or not anything's going to come up. You never just know. And for the first time in a donkey's age, I can't get any adverts to come up, which is just weird. How do I close that? Hide the sidebar. That might bring adverts up, will it? No, it's not. So for once, I'm not getting any adverts, which is really strange. Sorry, I was concentrating on other things. I do apologise. But yeah, as I say, I have been seeing adverts coming out quite a lot over the last few days, and just clicking about the place. I don't think it's anything to do with the version of Facebook I'm using here. Weird. How very strange. And yet, I'll show everybody. The vaportrails.tv page, that's how we see it as the page owner. And look here, they must know that we're talking about e-cigs. It says everywhere. They've got to see, but they're asking us to advertise, to promote the page. E-cig news, reviews and how-tos. So I just, quite honestly, I don't get what the hell they're playing at. Again, there seems to be something wrong in all of that.
Yeah,
I find
it's a difficult one, because I mean, you can't actually create a Facebook ad with the terms electronic cigarettes, tobacco, or anything like that in it. It won't allow you. You have to word them very carefully to be able to get through the automated system. So it may be a case that they just haven't got the filtering systems in their promotional advertise here systems. I don't know. Obviously, I don't work for Facebook, so I can't comment too much on that. But as far as I know, and as far as we've played around with it, that's the case, that the automated system will just deny your advert should you put any terms like that in there.
I don't know. So basically, they would let me go. It looks as though they would let me go through the whole thing, putting together an advert for vaportrails.tv, talking about e-cigs and everything else, and then when they get the end, go, oh, actually, no, sorry, you can't.
That's our experience, yeah. Much like with Google AdSense, it's the same principle. You get so far, and then the computer says no.
Right, I'm going to say 2 words, Google Plus, and then I'll say another 2 words, 3 words, bye-bye Facebook. It's just mad, completely mad. It's funny, isn't it? You know, when you start talking about like the Mail and Facebook and everything else, and you say, well, right, the Mail's got this campaign and it's against e-cigs and stuff like that, and then you look at this, just to change things on. Carrie Fisher puffs her way through airport holding pet dog and smoking an electronic cigarette. That's her, Carrie Fisher. In case people don't recognise it, let me just zoom down to a picture that you might recognise a bit more. Not that one. That one. Most blokes will recognise that. What was it you said earlier, Sav?
Apparently that's supposed to be every man's fantasy.
Yes, and I said that's because you can get into it with a tool.
And I declined to comment at that point.
Yes, there's a surprise. But yes, apparently, as you can see, if I find the right photos, they're here somewhere. There you go. She's got an e-cig in her hand there. Fine looking woman. She's got an e-cig in her mouth. How, I mean, honestly, would anybody be able to mistake that for being a proper cigarette?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either. I mean, it's way too big to be a proper fag. Far too big. So e-cigarette there, e-cigarette there, e-cigarette there. It's a looky likey-ish e-cigarette there. You know. The bit I like is where it said she carried a bottle of Coke in one hand before putting it away to scoop up her bulldog in her arms, which she then carried while also clutching an unlit cigarette Do these daft bats not know you didn't like them? Honestly, you have to wonder sometimes. Again, e-cigarette and bulldog, there you go. So Carrie Fisher and stuff like that. Now then, let's come away from there. And I know, Sav, you said that there were a couple of questions that you wanted to slip in before the end of the show.
Yes, there were a couple of questions that came in earlier on. First one was from Gary Dibley, and he says, Ben, why am I addicted to Vermilion River you get?
It's a special ingredient we put in it. It's called nicotine.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, no one knows about it, so if you could keep it hush-hush between us, that'd be much appreciated.
Apparently, I don't know whether you know this, but nicotine, apparently, oops, what a giveaway. David having a drink. Diet Coke. It's approved by the Olympics, so it must be good. Apparently, nicotine promotes the growth of blood vessels. Did you know that?
I didn't.
And I'm not being funny, Sav. I could see that look, waiting for the punchline. I'm waiting for it's no punchline. That was a piece of research that was published earlier on, that nicotine actually promotes the growth of small blood vessels. Interesting to note that one. So you are being good to people, young Ben, young Padawan.
Yeah, but like I said, let's keep it between us, yeah?
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll not tell anybody. Don't share it. Don't post it to Google Plus, whatever you do. What was the other question, Sav?
This one was from John Bon1, and he says, Ben, will you be stocking 36 milligram or 45? I'm guessing he's talking about the Vermilion River, but I'm not sure.
Vermilion River, unlikely. They don't do that themselves. And to be honest with you, there really isn't that much demand for the higher nicotine strengths. I know Dave would probably disagree, but overall, there really isn't that much demand for the super high strengths.
What are you selling mostly? Are you selling mostly to the States, like?
Yeah.
I must admit, I do. I don't know. I mean, I find it difficult to believe that there's not a great deal of demand for 36. I understand why 45 might not be in high demand, but 36 is lovely.
In comparison to the others, it's not as much demand at all. What I will say is it's a possibility with our own range, but that isn't a promise. But I'll nudge a few people and see what we come up with. But it really isn't that much in demand. The people in that high strength ratio are kind of in a niche, to be honest. They're few and far between, so you're special.
I'm sorry, I'm special. I'm
Yeah.
special. My mum says I'm special. What are you laughing at?
Nothing, but we're at 3 minutes, Steve.
Are we indeed? Good.
Oh, yeah.
Right. I've been described as many things, but special usually isn't one of them.
I mean it in the nicest way.
Yes, I'm sure. 3 minutes to go. I've got to kind of wind it up and say thank you so much, Ben, for standing in. It was very, very much last minute, I have to say.
No problem.
But yeah, it's been great to have you back. And I hadn't realised actually until we were sitting talking, but yes, the first ever vendor onto VT Talk, and that I remember that show, and it was a cracking show. And then here we are, the first in kind of the new vendors corner, which is brilliant, but it's there to be populated by many people. So thank you so much for coming on, and thank you also to Kat, who, as I say, her fingers must have been flying at the speed of light transcribing stuff, because if I remember correctly, copy and paste is not something that works awfully well for her at the minute.
Not all the time, no. So she's been working like a trooper.
Excellent stuff. So everybody in the chat room, type a big thanks to Kat for doing what she's been doing, and also, if you will, a big thanks to Sav for doing the job that she does so well and has been doing for so long. We honestly thought VT Talk was going to be a standing programme for 4 or 5 weeks, didn't we?
Yeah.
And it's turned out to be exceptionally well viewed, for which we thank you. I really do thank you so much. And to Daz, I hope your shift has ended well, and that your sarnies were flavourful and nice and stuff like that. And David forgets I need to start that. So yeah, From all of us here at VT Talk, thank you so much for tuning in, whether you've been in live or whether you are viewing after the fact, as it were, in video on demand or on the podcasts. My thanks again to Ben from ECW UK E-liquid. That's it, ECWOOK, that's what we're calling it. It's now called ECWOOK. And until we see you next week on VT Talk, from us, good night.
VT Talk was sponsored by Vaporworld, introducing the straight-up range of e-liquid from the USA containing real tobacco extracts.